What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today I want to do something a little different because 2024 has been a wild year for gaming, and out of all of the franchises, none has had a better year than Warhammer. That's just my opinion. Heretical though it might be, if you have a problem, take it up with Sigmar. Vermintide 2 continues to be the GOAT of PvE co-op games, and after 7 years in running, its long-awaited PvP mode has finally launched. Darktide, after a very rough release in 2022, has made a significant comeback, to the point it's been nominated for the Labor of Love Award on Steam. Ooh woo. You can go ahead and shoot me. And then there's some other Warhammer game. It was kind of like a niche third-person shooter. Not a whole lot of people played it. What was it called? Space Marine 2!
This is amazing! I feel incredible! Yes!
So if you're in the market for a solid Warhammer game to play, you got your pick of the litter. And not to mention, the 40K TV series starring Henry Cavill just got officially greenlit. And the fans, I imagine, are eating like kings right now. But all these games are very focused on action and fast-paced combat. I'm looking for something that can really ease me into the Warhammer universe, kind of slow things down, maybe some kind of narrative-driven RPG like Baldur's Gate 3, Dragon Age Origins, Knights of the Old Republic, Fallout New Vegas. Well, guess what? Warhammer has its own version of Baldur's Gate 3. And if that sounds enticing to you, then the name of the game is Rogue Trader. Look at that. Oh my god.
Holy Sigma!
Bless this ravaged mustache. It's a modern day classic of an RPG, as vast and complex as the never-ending lore of Warhammer itself. Now, the developers at Owlcat were kind enough to send me a code for Rogue Trader and sponsor this video. Although the base game is, well, it's a chunker. That's about the length you'd want a Warhammer RPG to be. So before you buy, consider whether this is the type of game that you're going to put some decent hours into. And also keep in mind that on December 19th and through January 2nd, Rogue Trader will be going on sale as part of Steam's winter sale. Thank you, Lord Gaben. For how much, I'm not sure, but if you're going to pick up this game, that'd be the best time to do it. I think the reason it's called Rogue Trader is because if you happen to get hooked on it, you will become an antisocial rogue who trades all his time to keep playing it. Rogue Trader is an isometric top-down RPG with a heavy emphasis on the role-playing. Because of that, it's going to be a bit divisive for certain players. If you're brand new to the Warhammer universe, probably not the best place to start. But the truth is, no place is the best place to start if you want to get into Warhammer. The plot of Rogue Trader centers around you, the player, and your journey as a rogue trader who's been newly appointed. Rogue traders are powerful people in the Warhammer universe that have immense authority within the Imperium of Man to, from my understanding, do whatever the fuck they want. Explore different planets, travel, trade. This opens the door to exploring less fleshed out parts of the 40K universe, as you're not solely playing as a Space Marine doing Space Marine things. The game does its best to compile all of the best aspects of the 40K universe and compile it all together into a narrative-driven experience that offers political intrigue, personal ambition, and the ever-growing threat of galactic chaos. So my goal today, honestly, is just to put this game on your radar for fellow hardcore RPG enthusiasts and Warhammer fanatics. What Rogue Trader offers is a surprising, often overwhelming amount of depth. Like, holy shit, look at this character creator. My god, are there a ton of options to choose from. You get to choose a homeworld, which gives you bonus stats in origin story. There's a variety of skills, different archetypes, classes to choose from, perks, talents. And sometimes it's daunting to create a character when you don't even know how any of this stuff works yet. Text can only go so far to explain the mechanics. For first timers, you won't really know if your class is any good until you have enough experience with the game to learn how all this stuff works. But that is part of the exciting part, because RPGs like this, when they're done right, they fucking hit. They slap. Despite the apparent complexity, early game dialogue and combat are pretty easy to navigate, even without understanding all the mechanics. Given how many genres of games Warhammer has covered, it's pretty surprising that this is the first real RPG set in the Warhammer universe. Having all of those tried and true role-playing mechanics that you know and love from other games added to Rogue Trader within the context of Warhammer. Instead of dark side, light side morality, you can be a Puritan or a radical. The fun part about Rogue Trader is that you're given full freedom to craft your own moral compass, align with factions that you relate to, and disassociate with those that are kind of gross. Whether it's the iconic Imperium of Man, or if you're not a huge fan of bathing yourself, you can buddy up with fellow chaos enthusiasts. And gurgle for nurgle, as they say. That's what they say. I'm hip. Skills function similar to New Vegas, a system which needs to be in more RPGs. Like if you invest points into the demolition skill, it opens up potential dialogue options based on that. It can influence conversations, open up new paths of dialogue, and really make you feel like your experience through this game is completely unique, that nobody else is going to have the exact same playthrough as you. Whether it's your origin, your faction alignment, your morality. I mean, you can literally spec into upgrading your knowledge of 40K lore. That's a perk in this game. The stat that influences it is intelligence, just like real life. However, these types of RPGs aren't for everyone. For starters, text. There's a lot of it, and reading is hard. Some people don't have the patience for a game as complex as this, and I can respect that. Sometimes I feel the same way. But if you're craving a new RPG to get totally lost in, and you love Warhammer, I think Rogue Trader will be right up your alley. Think Baldur's Gate 3, Divinity Original Sin 2, that tactical top-down, turn-based game where you move your characters like chess pieces on a board. Man, wouldn't that be sweet if they made a board game for Warhammer? You know, maybe something that you could, like, play on a table? I think people would really enjoy that. Rogue Trader is absolutely slept on because it's kind of hard to get into, but if you break through, you'll know why it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. But so often when I play a Warhammer game, they kind of expect you to already be familiar with the setting and the different factions. But Rogue Trader has an ace up its sleeve. You see, while there is a lot of text and dialogue, the game has an in-depth codex system that you can read at any point, filling you in on all of the different factions, the history, etc. And when important nouns, places, and things are mentioned in dialogue, they can be highlighted and hovered over to reveal a brief description. This is genius, and it allows filthy casuals like me to get into the 40K universe, finally, and understand the history and lore behind all these important factions. So I can take things at my own pace as a new player. But at the same time, fans already familiar with all of these things don't have to be force-fed endless amounts of exposition. They don't have to be treated like they're a child, like baby's first Warhammer game. It's the perfect solution. That being said, newcomers will still be able to play through this game on a relatively casual level. Like, you won't need to understand everything in order to get through the early combat encounters. The steep learning curve is there if you want to play the game on harder difficulties, so that is a saving grace. Very quickly, Rogue Trader will kind of overwhelm you with information barrages, including lore, all these different status effects, what your skills do, your background, and if you're totally unfamiliar with this universe, it's going to be information overload. Those familiar with Warhammer will immediately feel right at home, because this is a massive, robust RPG, and it's a perfect way to immerse yourself in the expansive and massive world of 40K. Now, despite a somewhat rocky launch last December, the team at Owlcat have been hard at work on the post-launch support for Rogue Trader. They released a 1.2 patch over the summer, which has included major balance updates, improvements to the co-op, cutscene enhancements, new visual effects, and much more. The most recent patch, 1.3, brought significant quality of life changes, major cutscene enhancements. Like many of the other Warhammer games, they're going to continue supporting this game, hopefully with future expansions. And even though I'm a, scrub when it comes to Warhammer lore, immediately I recognize things about Rogue Trader that I've seen in other RPGs that I absolutely love and have been advocating for. I can respect games like Rogue Trader that have clearly put so much thought into their mechanics, because that shows the level of confidence and competency. Incidentally, one of the things I've grown to dislike about recent modern RPGs is how they seem to dumb down and simplify the RPG mechanics in favor of emphasizing combat and action with light RPG elements. I like it the other way around. This is why I prefer New Vegas over Fallout 4, because I'm here to craft and play a role in this game, to be immersed in a world and feel like I'm really part of it, And that's where RPG mechanics shine. That's where dialogue and choices really become important. Rogue Trader includes some of my favorite RPG elements, things like skill checks, a persuasion system, branching dialogue paths, important decisions that can have a huge unforeseeable impact later down the line. This is a slow burn kind of game. As you recruit a team, level them up individually, unlock new abilities and talents, and explore different regions, encountering heretics, aliens, and all manner of chaotic creatures. You can have up to 6 party members in your team, each with their own style of combat, each with their own specialization, and that's kind of insane because these games typically have like 3 to 4 party members. Each character has their own archetype, which is basically a class that defines how they play in combat. You could be an officer who buffs his allies, a warrior who thrives in melee combat, or a soldier who likes to shoot things from afar. Crafting a well-rounded team that can tackle every encounter is a big part of what makes these kinds of games so fun, satisfying, and fulfilling for me. They got integrated mod support with Nexus, a co-op mode, expansive skill trees. This is like the all-in-one RPG. Now let's talk combat. One of the things I love about Divinity Original Sin 2 is something I don't like as much in Baldur's Gate 3, and that's being able to attack multiple times in a single turn. Rogue Trader has a hybrid system of action and movement points. Typically, you can only move and reposition your character before you attack, and you only get 1 attack per turn. To compensate, you have several abilities that you can also use. So you always have plenty of options to approach each combat scenario, even in the early game. Every character also has access to both melee and ranged combat, and some characters specialize in ranged while others focus on being up close and personal. There are a ton of weapons, locations, things to interact with, an interesting level design that makes each combat encounter unique. It's a very solid turn-based RPG, and that's all it needs to be. There's a cover system that rewards proper positioning and punishes bad positioning. I'd also like to point out that there are 6 base difficulty options, but you also have the freedom to customize the challenge through a variety of sliders. This is a supremely underrated feature as, in my opinion, proper challenge is the most important thing every video game needs. Being able to customize that to fit your own playstyle and choice of class is a fantastic addition. Not many RPGs offer this kind of freedom to the player. Now, on the technical side, things do get a little dicey. Rogue Trader's biggest flaws are some of the bugs that tend to crop up. Some of the cutscenes can be a little janky and character models will just not do what they're supposed to do. This game is reminiscent of Baldur's Gate 3, but they don't have motion capture for each and every cutscene, which is just insane. I wouldn't expect that from any video game. But Rogue Traders takes a more novel-like approach to the storytelling. Characters are fully voice acted, but their actions in a scene are described in the text below. It's a very unique kind of storytelling that I've only really seen in Divinity Original Sin 2. That's one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's super unique to add that element of imagination to the storytelling. Rogue Trader is a very underrated RPG, and I think it'd be a damn shame for it to fly under the radar, which is why I'm making this video. It may not be as polished as some other RPGs in terms of graphics, cutscenes, and technically it might have some flaws, but it absolutely has the same level of depth, if not more so, within its turn-based combat, its storytelling, its RPG mechanics, and its class customization, which is what I value in an RPG. Still, there is some technical jank that can break your immersion from time to time, so if you end up trying out Rogue Trader, don't expect it to be flawless. So 2024 has been a stacked year for gaming, and before 2025 is upon us, I wanted to put some respect on Rogue Trader's name, because it's a game I think should be on people's radar. I'll have a link to the Steam page in the description if you're curious, but that's all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Actaman signing out. Peace!